This is Jerry. He's a farmer who wakes up every morning, gets into his tractor, and travels a mile to feed his cows. He's been doing this every day for the past 15 years. Jerry discovered something fascinating over the years. The tractor began to leave ruts on the path to the cows. Jerry eventually didn't have to guide the tractor. He simply turns it on, shifts into gear, releases the steering wheel, and the tractor arrives. After 15 years, it is really more difficult to get the tractor out of the rut than to leave it there. We, like the tractor, can become stuck in a rut and feel unable to escape. So if you're feeling stuck and aren't quite where you want to be in life, hang around because today we'll go over the main themes from Dean Graziosi's book, Millionaire Success Habits. You'll be astonished at how much difference tiny tweaks may make. Between the typical person and a highly successful one, millionaire habit number 1 is to figure out why. It all begins with understanding why you want to succeed. Without a compelling reason why, it is quite easy to revert to the path of least resistance as soon as we encounter the slightest inconvenience. This does not happen when you have a compelling explanation. Even when things are difficult, you cannot simply give up if you have children. There is a chance you would do anything for them. You want to offer kids the best chance at growing up healthy, affluent, and happy. If you are motivated by children, you are unlikely to give up if circumstances get rough. But if you're not sure why, Dean recommends an activity called the 7 levels deep. Essentially, you have someone question you 7 times why you want to do something in order to get to your genuine reason. For example, why did you choose to watch this video on millionaire success habits? It is possible that your first few responses will be the same ones you tell everyone, such as, I want to be financially free, I want to quit my 9-to-5, or I want to travel the world. Those are good replies, but not the most powerful ones. So why do you want to quit your 9-to-5? You can say that you wish to start a business. The following question is, why do you want to start a business? And so on. When you reach levels 5, 6, or 7, you start to realize why you're doing it. So don't give up before reaching level 7, even if the questions become more difficult to answer. Habit number 2, create your life's GPS. Consider racing 2 automobiles. On one side, you have a 488 Ferrari Pista. It accelerates from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds and has a top speed of 211 miles per hour, 339 kilometers per hour. On the other side, we have a 2001 Honda Civic. It accelerates from 0 to 60 in 8.4 seconds and has a top speed of 137 miles per hour, 220 kilometers/a. Just looking at these 2 automobiles, you could conclude that the Ferrari will easily defeat the Honda. However, in this race, the drivers must navigate to a certain place on the map. Here's the twist. Only the Honda has a GPS system and knows exactly where to travel, whilst the Ferrari does not. So, who do you think will win the race? It doesn't matter how quickly you drive if you don't know where you're going. We'll never get there. As Dean puts it, without a defined destination, going fast just means getting lost faster. Any GPS system, in order to function, must first determine our beginning point. If it doesn't know where we are, it can't provide directions. So the first step in creating your own life GPS is to ask yourself, where are you in life right now? What is your current life situation? What's your financial situation? How do you live your life right now? Now that we know where you are, let's enter a destination. Imagine 12 months from now that this has been the best year of your life. You achieved your objectives and are truly pleased with your development. Now, reflecting on this year, what did you do? How is your business doing? How much money do you make? How are your relationships? How is your lifestyle? What new talents have you acquired? As you answer these questions, you will begin to form an image of your desired life or goal. The third habit is to combat the villain within. Every one of us has a small voice within that says, you can't do that, you're not good enough, or you don't deserve that. Anytime we desire to achieve a significant objective, every day, however, we may choose whether to destroy or strengthen this monster by our words, actions, and even our environment. For example, in everyday life, if someone asks you, "How was your day?" instead of replying, "It was extremely stressful. I had so many difficulties to solve," you can remark, "It was full with decisions that I believe will make the following few months much more efficient." The first line strengthens your villain, while the second reduces his health. Your acts can also benefit your villain. For example, there are certain things you are naturally better at than others. Spending time doing something you're not particularly excellent at can help your villain become stronger. What if, instead, you spent the majority of your time doing things you're good at? Your villain can now become stronger in this manner. Your surroundings can also feed your villain, especially in today's society where we have access to the entire globe. If you are regularly confronted with unpleasant news, upsetting media, and negative content, your villain is likely to become more powerful. So restricting your exposure to that type of stuff can prevent your villain from becoming stronger. Bonus points if you promote positive topics such as self-development. Habit number 4, boost your confidence by being your own hero. Consider a time when you accomplished something fantastic, such as making a large sale, landing your dream job, or obtaining the phone number of a beautiful woman. How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel down and depressed? Or were you happy and confident? You felt fantastic, right? The truth is that even a minor drop in confidence might prevent you from doing things that could significantly improve your life, such as applying for that job, asking for a raise, establishing a new business, or asking out the girl you like. So how do we become our own hero? A particularly powerful approach to do this is to recall a period when you let your inner villain to govern your life and consider all of the terrible traits and ideas you held at the time, such as irresponsibility, insecurity, pessimism, etc. Write them down. Then pick an ugly photo of yourself. Attach this image to the list of negative characteristics and give this individual a name. It could be a moniker you despised as a child or simply a name you dislike. Make it unflattering. By now, you should be disgusted with this individual. This may be difficult, but it is an essential step in the process. Then choose a picture of the happy you, the greatest version of yourself, one in which you appear good, confident, and strong. Write down the best qualities that this hero version of you possesses, such as responsibility, confidence, and charisma. Then give this new version of yourself a name. From this day forward, you are the new version of yourself. When your confidence is down, glance at these 2 photographs to remind yourself of who you are. Habit number 5, consider the return on investment while making decisions. One of the reasons affluent people became wealthy was because they were practical in their actions, focusing on things that were useful and had a favorable effect. Consider this: if you earn $40 per hour, does it make sense to spend an hour mowing your lawn when you can pay a youngster $20 to do it? Focusing on productive tasks provides a practical approach for increasing your productivity and earning potential. So, to determine what gives you the best ROI, divide your chores into 4 separate columns. Let's call the first column a unique ability, the second exceptional, the third good, and the fourth stinks. In the first column, include all of the things that you excel at and generate the highest ROI. In the second column, list anything you're pretty excellent at. In the third column, write down everything you're good at. In the fourth column, list all of the things you are not good at. After you've organized your responsibilities, you should devote the majority of your time to the first 2 columns. Then try to automate or systemize the third column, and, if possible, delete or delegate the fourth column. Check the fourth column to see how much it would cost to assign items. You'd be astonished at how many items in the fourth column can generate a positive ROI if delegated. Habit number 6, learn these success secrets to help you get started on your path to success. Here are some quick yet significant success tips that Dean dedicated a full chapter to. Number 1, set aside time each day for creative activities. Most of us follow the same routine day after day, and we fall into ruts. So set aside 10 to 30 minutes each day to just sit and think. whether it's to think about the next step in your life, things you want to work on internally, or simply to unwind. Number 2, set gratitude alarms. Gratitude is an effective method for feeding your inner hero. Even on a busy day, it's a good idea to take a few minutes to be grateful for the things in your life, no matter how minor. This might help you stay optimistic and energetic all day. Number 3, keep cash. Having cash in the bank will make you feel a lot better. By making it a practice to save a percentage of your salary, you will have peace of mind knowing that you have money and that if something unexpected happens, you will be prepared. Number 4, randomly treat yourself. This may seem counterintuitive to the last advice, but you can save while still doing things you enjoy. This not only makes you feel good about your job, but also inspires you to perform even better. Number 5, invest in yourself. In life, we are either climbing or sliding. Thus, it is critical to always learn and develop ourselves. Number 6, look for the good in the terrible. If you can acquire the practice of looking for the good even when things go wrong, you will develop the ability to spot fresh chances and feed your inner hero because you will be able to pull positive energy from even the most difficult circumstances. Most individuals want to retire as millionaires, or so they believe. However, many people do not desire millions of dollars. Rather, they seek a lifestyle that they feel only millionaires can afford. They want to be able to travel, gain new skills, and spend their time doing activities other than working. What if there was a way to enjoy this lifestyle without becoming a millionaire or waiting 40 years for retirement? Tim Ferriss' book, The 4-Hour Workweek, outlines the different schools of thinking for reaching this lifestyle. Number 1, the postponing technique adheres to the traditional practice of using our younger years to save money by working 30 to 40 years before retiring at the age of 60 or 65. Or, as Tim Ferriss describes it, the new rich method. Instead of waiting for retirement, spread those years out over your life, alternating between times of work and play. The goal is to use our abilities and procedures to maximize our revenues in as little time and effort as feasible. In the book, Tim Ferriss explains how to create this lifestyle in 4 stages: definition, elimination, automation, and emancipation. First, we need to define what we desire. A useful exercise is to write down every detail of our ideal lifestyle. Where would you choose to live? If you enjoy traveling, where would you want to go and for how long? How much time off would you like to take each year? What interests would you like to pursue during your free time? Tim suggests that once we've defined our ideal lifestyle, we should start looking at how much it will cost. Let's imagine you want to be able to take 4 holidays every year, each costing roughly $5,000. Assume that your basic living expenses total $35,000 per year, and you have the car of your dreams, which costs an additional $6,000 per year. Your hobbies account for additional $10,000 per year. This indicates that your total annual lifestyle expenses are $71,000. This lifestyle would cost you $5,917 each month. Let us assume a 30% tax charge and an additional 10% for your long-term investment portfolio. This allows you to continue investing for the future while living the lifestyle you wish. After these expenses, your total projected monthly revenue is $9,888. The beautiful thing is that there are so many examples and ways to do this. In this day and age, YouTubers make 6 figures with only a few hours a week, while piano teachers offer their introductory courses online. The idea is to maximize your earning potential while requiring as little effort and time as possible. To accomplish this, we go to the following phase in the process. Normally, when a person goes to work, they are compensated for being productive. Imagine if you could do your work in 1 hour instead of 8. Do you think your job would pay you the same if you only worked 1 hour per day? Probably not. To optimize our earnings potential, we must shift our focus from presence to performance. Start taking out what isn't required to create a result in order to labor less while still producing a nice outcome. Tim Ferriss advises adopting the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle was developed in response to the fact that 80% of global effects result from 20% of causes. For example, 20% of people manage around 80% of money, 20% of drivers cause 80% of accidents, and 20% of our efforts produce 80% of the desired consequences. Using this technique, we can discover two major factors that can help us reduce our time spent working. First, we determine which 20% of activities produce 80% of our desired outcomes, as well as which 20% of activities consume 80% of our available time. The idea is to identify and reduce inefficiencies in your business and personal life. This can also help you identify your skills and the important tasks that provide the majority of your results. After you've reduced inefficiencies and identified the important tasks that yield outcomes, you can go on to the next stage. Now it's time to look for systems that will assist us make the most use of our time. Even if you simply focus on the most important aspects of a firm, you may still be working long hours, which can limit your earning potential. This is why Tim Ferriss emphasizes the importance of removing yourself as a business barrier as soon as possible. For example, suppose you are starting a YouTube channel. You've already removed all of the unnecessary jobs and identified all of the key ones that will truly produce results. However, if you handle all of the key activities alone, you may not be able to produce as much content or maximize the brand's potential because there is only so much you can accomplish on your own. At this point in your firm, you should begin categorizing your key jobs into two groups, those that require your assistance and those that do not. Here, you want to begin employing other people or systems to separate yourself as much as possible from the work of the business and focus solely on the duties that you can perform. Outsourcing becomes your superpower. Tasks that do not require your involvement can be delegated to others. So if you're developing a YouTube brand, for example, as soon as possible, hire someone to assist you edit your videos, operate the cameras, organize your footage, create your graphics, conduct research, and even plan your social media postings for you. This allows you to reduce the amount of time you spend working on such tasks, allowing you to focus on the things you can only do. This not only removes you as the business's bottleneck, allowing it to develop more easily, but it also reduces the amount of time you spend on it while providing the same or better outcomes. But Tim Ferriss recommends that we don't stop there. You can outsource both your business and your life. There are numerous tasks in our daily lives that we don't particularly enjoy yet must do. Consider not doing any of those ever. Outsourcing can provide actual independence in someone's life, allowing them to accomplish anything they choose. For many, this may seem out of reach or prohibitively expensive, and this is where we enter our final stage. The ultimate freedom that comes with this lifestyle is not automating one's income, but rather the freedom of mobility that it provides. Money isn't the only factor that defines freedom for the new rich. Income can be viewed in two ways: absolute and relative. A person with a lower income can live a considerably more opulent lifestyle than someone with a higher salary. For example, our friend Tom earns $100,000 every year. Then we have our friend Jerry, who earns $80,000 per year. Simply looking at the absolute income or total number of dollars, you would conclude that Tom is wealthier than Jerry because he earns more money. What if I told you that Tom works 80 hours per week to earn $100,000, yet Jerry just works 15 hours per week to get $80,000? This means Tom makes $26 per hour, whereas Jerry earns more than $111. Making more money is one thing, but earning more money for the time involved is another. In terms of income per unit of time, Jerry earns far more than Tom. But let's go a bit further. Tom has to stay in New York City, which is a somewhat costly city to live in because his job is there. Jerry, on the other hand, can live wherever he wants. While Tom must pay $7,000 per month just to cover living expenses in New York City, Jerry pays $2,500 per month to live in a large house in gorgeous Mexico. So by the end of the month, Tom has $1,300 after costs. But Jerry has $4,160. This means Jerry will have more time, money, and freedom than Tom. Most people understand that money is an emotional subject, yet few grasp that this is why they often make poor judgments. Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money, explains how to avoid these emotional pitfalls. In this video, I'll share the 6 most crucial lessons I learned. By the end, perhaps you'll be one step ahead of your emotions. First lesson, wealth is what you don't see. Morgan tells us of a man who drove up to the hotel where he worked in a beautiful car, a Porsche. It took everyone by surprise. However, the same man returned a week later in an old automobile. The man had a significant dent to pay for the Porsche. When he fell into financial difficulties, he was forced to sell it. The man plainly desired to appear wealthy rather than to be wealthy. Let's examine the distinction. We usually estimate people's wealth based on what we perceive. When we see someone driving a nice car, like the man in the story, we presume they're wealthy. But all we know is that the individual has less than $100,000 to spend. If that same person kept the money and drove a conventional car instead, they would have an extra $100,000. Having money that we can put to use is what makes us wealthy. There's nothing wrong with owning a costly automobile or other luxuries if you can afford them. However, if you're truly aiming to acquire goods, perhaps you want to appear affluent rather than actually being rich. Spending money to display wealth is the fastest way to have less money. Second lesson, money can buy freedom. We've all heard the saying, money doesn't buy happiness. And while we may disagree, I believe we can all agree on something far more valuable: the freedom to control how we spend our time, more than our pay or the status of our position. One of the things that brings us the most joy is the ability to do what we want, when we want, with the people we want. And that is a luxury that we may all enjoy if we are fortunate enough. However, money cannot purchase everything. It can provide us with options. People who live paycheck to paycheck cannot afford to miss a few days of work due to illness, since it may result in insufficient funds to pay the bills. Those with limited funds have little time to hunt for a new career if they are fired and may end up in a job they dislike. Those with 6 months of savings are not afraid of their boss, since they know they will not be devastated if they take some time to find another job. And those with even more savings can afford to work for a lower-paying job with flexible hours until a certain threshold is reached. Saving money provides us with more and better options, hence greater control over our lives. Third lesson, being reasonable is more essential than being rational. This, in my opinion, is the most significant of all the teachings in the book. When making financial decisions, we frequently seek the option that we assume would produce the best outcomes, when actually we should seek the option that will allow us to sleep better at night. Allow me to explain. My friend Jack wants to start investing, and he has $5,000 to do so. It is a large quantity of money for him, but he is convinced that it will go well, and even if he loses, he will not need the money. He believes now is the best time because the market has been expanding in recent months. He now has 2 choices. Option 1, he puts everything in and waits for the market to grow. Option number 2, he puts $500 down each month for 10 months. Option number 1 appears more enticing. He feels the market will rise rapidly, thus passing up the opportunity makes little sense. And that's exactly what he does. The market fell a week later. Jack has been in a state of terror for several days and is unable to look at the app. He decides to leave and loses half of his money. Jack decides to try again a few years later. He chooses option number 2 this time. He spends $500 in the first month. The market crashed a month later. He has already lost a third of his investment, but he is unconcerned. He still has money, so he purchases $500 more. When the market rises, he profits, but when the market falls, he buys more at a lower price. It is, in his opinion, a win-win situation. He is aware that he is not making the highest profits possible, but he is now sleeping like a baby, which is far more essential. Fourth lesson, nothing is free. Every investment we make has a hidden cost, and it's not a monetary cost, as you might assume. It is an emotional state, similar to fear, doubt, or stress. The difficulty is that we are usually unaware of it until it is time to pay. So instead of viewing it as a charge that we must pay in order to receive the benefit, we perceive it as a fine and we despise it. The solution is to learn what the cost is for each investment and to be willing to pay it when it arrives. Let me give you an example. I have a guy named Matt who purchased a Bitcoin for $7,500 a few years ago. Matt believed in the project and chose to put a large sum of money into it. He was initially pleased with his decision because Bitcoin had doubled to $15,000. However, a few months later, it sank for an entire year, hitting a low of roughly $2,500. Matt struggled every time he opened the app to check the price of Bitcoin. He sobbed within every time it fell by 10%. His legs trembled. Matt questioned his decisions and whether he should sell what he had left multiple times. But he held on, and 3 years later, Bitcoin slowly recovered and reached a new high of $55,000, restoring Matt's confidence. It now appears to be simple. He only needed to buy it and wait. But Matt's achievement came at a high emotional cost that he hadn't anticipated. Always keep in mind that there is a cost to investing. Consider it a fee rather than a fine. Fifth lesson, play your game. Let's get to know two investors. The first is a father with a good career who is seeking for a means to invest his savings and build wealth in the coming years. We'll refer to him as the long-term investor. On the right, we have a man in his mid-20s who has recently started working and has plenty of free time to research markets. He enjoys doing some everyday trading to make a little additional money. We'll refer to him as the short-term investor. The short-term investor prefers expanding stocks. He frequently makes a quick profit by buying and then selling at a higher price a few hours later. The long-term investor prefers companies that he believes will perform well in the future. And it is not uncommon for those companies to be the same as those in which the short-term investor has just invested. Because both investors joined in on the trend, it will continue to draw more and more individuals until it eventually fails. The short-term investor enters and exits before the crash, therefore he is safe. However, the long-term investor does not intend to sell soon, so he bears the loss. This happens all the time in real life. Trending stocks attract an increasing number of day traders, causing the price to skyrocket. Mid- and long-term investors are drawn to such success and fail to notice that other investors are playing a different game than them. When the crash occurs, they express regret, but they did not necessarily make a mistake. They will undoubtedly profit in the long run, but in the short run, they will suffer an emotional cost, the fee we discussed in the previous lesson. So, be cautious about who you seek guidance from because they may not be playing the same game as you. Sixth lesson, leave room for error. Rick, a buddy of mine, was never careful with his money. He never saved money and constantly blew his wages on trips and drinks. When Bitcoin began to climb in value, he invested $1,000 in it. After a few years, Bitcoin struggled, but it is currently 5 times larger than it was previously. I ran into him one day and inquired about his investment. He should have made a lot of money by now, but he stated he had to sell it for half the amount because he needed to buy a motorcycle. Rick might now have 5 times as much, but because he didn't have any savings, he had to sell his investments when it was inconvenient. Because the world is unpredictable, you should always plan with wiggle space. If you believe a 6-month emergency fund is adequate, increase it to 9 months just in case. If you were saving for a house in 2 years, add $20 to your monthly savings. The price you expected to spend may be higher. So, if you have the quantity you require earlier, that's fantastic. If not, you'll be glad you saved a bit extra to avoid disappointment. Always leave room for error. Today, we'll go over 7 hidden messages in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad that you may have missed. If you've read the book, you'll know that it discusses understanding assets and liabilities, the spending habits of the poor vs. the rich, and how the wealthy employ businesses to avoid paying taxes like regular workers. However, Kiyosaki slipped a few topics into the book that are really significant for comprehending the world of finance. So let's get started. Number 1. Money, or lack thereof, is a reflection of your emotions. Think about your financial situation. How many of your financial decisions were emotional? And how many were thoroughly considered and properly planned? As much as we would like to believe that we make all our financial decisions logically, many of them are emotional judgments that we attempt to rationalize. Kiyosaki discusses the two basic emotions that drive most people's financial lives: fear and greed. The fear of not having money causes us to worry and leads us to desperately seek money, usually through a job. Before we even receive a salary, we start thinking about what we can buy. Greed begins to set in, and as soon as the paycheck arrives, it is gone. This emotional spending returns us to the terror of not having any money, so the anxiety and tension of not having money mount once more, and the cycle begins all over again. We are afraid, we seek money, we get paid, we become greedy, we begin spending, we waste our money, and we are back to square one. This is what Kiyosaki refers to as the rat race. These two feelings keep many people stuck in their current financial situation for years. Being conscious of and controlling these two emotions in your own life, as well as preparing your finances ahead of time, may save you a lot of worry and money while also allowing you to build a stronger financial future. Number 2, work to learn, not simply to work. Most people pick employment based on what is available, and in some cases, we may have to if money is tight. However, few people discuss using their professions to learn a talent rather than just earning a paycheck. When you think of a job, you envision going to work and receiving a paycheck. However, Kiyosaki briefly states in his book that using work to acquire and practice new abilities is more valuable than the salary you receive. Working in a job that teaches you extremely valuable and monetizable talents may prove to be quite rewarding in the future. Furthermore, you will be able to earn money while learning and honing your talents. So the next time you're looking for a career, consider which ones will teach you crucial and useful skills. Number 3, the wealthy do not labor for money. Instead, they often work for free to create money-making systems. This is where the concept of assets originated. Most successful business owners work extremely hard, sometimes without pay, to create processes that operate around the clock. Eventually, they won't have to. While most people labor to be paid once, the wealthy and successful work to create systems that generate income for them. Whether they're constructing a brick-and-mortar business that requires a team of personnel to manage it, or an internet business that might benefit from automation tools, they prioritize creating a system that can function without them. Even if it means working without pay, if they don't, they'll spend the rest of their lives working and exchanging time for money. Number 4, you come first. I am about to say something that will be unpleasant to hear. The money you work so hard to earn is not truly yours. If you consider your financial situation, chances are that after you get a paycheck, you start paying your rent, bills, living expenses, automobile, taxes, and spending a little money here and there. If there is anything remaining, you should save. If we do not have possession of the money we earn, it is not truly ours. It is up to us to choose to pay ourselves first. Most people, particularly those who have a respectable monthly income, prefer to spend their hard-earned money on luxuries such as a great automobile or a nice home. However, some of the world's wealthiest individuals do not pay for their own luxury. Rather, they rely on others to do so. More about that later. Kiyosaki goes so far as to state that even though he was in debt and had a slew of bills to pay, he always paid himself first. This is a basic principle that can significantly improve your long-term financial situation. Many successful people discuss this. Grant Cardone once said that even though he was a millionaire, he still spent money like he was broke, and Gary Vaynerchuk saved all of his money while working at his father's liquor store to invest in firms like Facebook and Twitter. Number 5, you become what you learn. If you ask the average person if they want to be a millionaire, they will most certainly reply yes. However, the vast bulk of the people does not devote time to understanding and studying how millionaires became millions. We become what we study and devote our time to. If we spend all of our time watching average television and dealing with average people, we are unlikely to become millionaires. Any skill involves time and attention, so if we want to be financially successful, we must learn from those who have done it before. Number 6. Become wealthy, not simply rich. Most people go to work or start a business to earn a living, and in many situations, those earnings are rather substantial. There are many people who earn hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, yet are still not affluent. This is because there is a distinction between being rich and wealthy. The distinction comes down to how they spend their money. Consider a Hollywood actor, for example. They can earn millions of dollars every year filming movies. As a millionaire, the actor spends his money on a nice residence, fancy watches, and a few supercars. The actor is only rich, not wealthy, if he relies only on his acting career and he spends his hard-earned money on luxuries that make him appear rich but actually make him poor. Those who are not just affluent, but also wealthy do not spend their hard-earned money on frills. Instead of purchasing a multi-million-dollar home or a flashy car, they use their money to purchase or construct assets that will not only increase in value but also provide adequate cash flow to cover their indulgences. Kiyosaki adds, "My assets buy my liabilities," and his assets expand at the same time. The rich make money, and the wealthy use their own and others' money to establish money-making enterprises. Number 7. Develop financial literacy. If you read between the lines, you will notice that the book emphasizes the significance of becoming financially literate. This requires understanding the fundamental structure of how money circulates around the planet. It can be difficult to manage your finances if you do not grasp concepts such as assets and liabilities, income and expenses, ROI, gross or net revenue, and overhead costs. It is a good idea to review your income and expenses every month. This way, you'll be fully aware of where your money comes from, how much is leaving your bank account, where it's going, and how much is left over for savings and investing. As you get control of your finances, you can begin moving on to other topics as needed. If you're starting your own firm, you'll need to know your overhead costs, cost per acquisition, payroll, gross revenue, net income, and how to secure your assets through legal companies. You do not have to learn everything right away. Understanding your present finances is an excellent starting point. This is Napoleon Hill, a humble man who accepted a position as a reporter at Bob Taylor's magazine. One day, he interviewed Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie is regarded as one of the richest persons in history, with a net worth of $370 billion in today's dollars. Carnegie told Hill that anyone might become wealthy if they followed a set of rules that many successful people, including himself, had followed. During the conversation, Carnegie offered Hill an opportunity to leave his work and interview some of the world's most successful people. Instead of writing for a magazine, he would aggregate his findings into a book. Hill agreed in just 30 seconds, trusting Carnegie's judgment. This ultimately evolved into the book Think and Grow Rich, which sold over 20 million copies during Hill's lifetime and more than 100 million copies to date. Hill believes that a great burning desire to be successful is the core of almost every financially rich person. When someone actually wants something, rather than just hoping for it, they have no choice but to act and behave in accordance with their burning desire. Hill offers 5 steps that will arouse this intense desire. First, establish just how much riches you want to attract. Number 2, decide what you will offer in exchange for this money. Nothing comes free. Unlike the title of this book may suggest, we cannot simply think money into existence. We must provide something valuable in exchange for the required money. Number 3, choose a date when you will attain your financial target. Number 4, develop an action plan to carry out your goal. Number 5, write everything down on paper and store it somewhere you will see it every day. 6, review this plan every day to stay focused on accomplishing your goal. This not only creates a strong drive to achieve your goal, as well as a practical strategy for achieving it. So let's help our friend Tom develop his burning desire plan. First, we look at his financial goal. He wants to make his first $100,000. Second, he must select what he would offer in exchange. He understands that with a little bit of study and effort, he can become an expert at creating websites for local businesses. Third, he must pick a deadline by which he will achieve his financial goal. He decided that he will receive $100,000 one year from now. Fourth, he needs to devise a strategy to achieve this goal. He decides that he can charge $1,000 for each website he creates. This means that in a year, he will create 100 websites. This equals to 9 websites per month. Fifth, he will create a poster outlining his aim, what he will sell, his schedule, and his approach, which he will display in his office. Sixth, he will take at least 5 minutes per day to review this plan. Avoid falling off track till his aim is achieved. According to Hill, every highly successful person believes they can attain their goals. If you look at some of the world's most successful people, you'll discover that they all share this characteristic. As Steve Jobs once said, "Those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Let us take Elon Musk as an example. He pocketed the $165 million he earned from the PayPal, and instead of retiring and living his life, he invested it all in Tesla and SpaceX because he was confident that he could make a difference there. Elon Musk is currently believed to be worth more than $146 billion. One of the finest ways to establish a sense of belief in your ability to attain your goals is to surround yourself with individuals who have previously done what you want to accomplish something. We now have greater access to these individuals than ever before thanks to the internet, which brings us to our next point. Having all of these positive influences around us helps us with what Hill refers to as auto-suggestion. This is essentially directing your subconscious mind by controlling the ideas and external inputs we receive. For example, if we are continually reading negative media or being around people who are constantly whining, we are unlikely to feel happy and powerful. What if instead we spend our time reading inspiring books, listening to good podcasts, or viewing happy and informative videos? We now feel like we can reach our goals since we are positively auto-suggesting. Many people, including Hill, noted that many successful individuals naturally visualize themselves achieving their goals. They can see their accomplishments before they really attain them. A recent brain imaging study sponsored by the University of Colorado Boulder and the Icahn School of Medicine discovered that imagined stimuli had a remarkably similar effect on our brains to real-life experiences. The study comprised of 68 participants. They were given an uncomfortable but non-painful electric shock after hearing a sound. This helped them associate the sound with the shock. They then separated the participants into 3 groups. The first group played the same sound. The second group was instructed to envision the identical sound, and the third to think nice birds and rain noises, all without receiving any further electric shocks. They discovered that participants who imagined the sound experienced the identical brain response as those who heard it. When exposed to both the genuine and imagined sounds, both the auditory and fear portions of the brain were active. So envisioning yourself attaining your goals can be helpful. You can strengthen your burning desire while also convince your brain that your objective is genuinely achievable because your brain already believes it is real. Hill discovered that wealth is created when someone had a highly precise talent that can be sold in the marketplace, which he refers to as specialized knowledge. Consider this: if you had a brain tumor, who would you turn to? A general practitioner or a brain surgeon? A brain surgeon, correct? What if these doctors make more money? The brain surgeon. This is because a brain surgeon can address difficulties that others cannot. This is especially crucial in the present period, when most industries are highly competitive. The more specialized you are, the more competitive you become inside your business. Now, it is not required to begin with specific knowledge. Hill proposes determining what specific expertise you require and then striving to find it. Knowledge and information are important, as is imagination. Hill discovered that highly successful people are often extremely innovative. They have been able to employ their imagination since the beginning of their journey, since they envisaged and believed in their prospective success. Hill distinguishes 2 types of imagination: synthetic and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination is the arrangement of ancient concepts, Ideas or goods that are joined in a novel way, they form a new invention. Some of the world's most successful firms today, such as Uber, Airbnb, and even Facebook, are all examples of taking an existing concept and reinventing it to create a new and improved system or service. Creative imagination is a more unusual type of imagination. As Hill puts it, we enter into a higher plane of consciousness, where inspirations or hunches originate. He explains that imagination is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. However, while many people have fantastic ideas, many fail to put them into action. Having good ideas may not necessarily make you wealthy. Hill believes that decision-making is an important aspect of success. He claims that a significant distinction between high achievers and the general population is that the majority of individuals make judgments slowly and change their opinions frequently. In contrast, highly successful individuals make decisions swiftly and boldly and stay with them until they work or fail. Persistence, according to Hill, is a key characteristic of individuals who succeed financially. Once a decision is made, the high achiever's mind sticks with it until it is completed, changing and calibrating along the way if something fails. Steve Jobs serves as an excellent example of this. He had a strong desire to develop technologies that could improve the world. He decided to launch the company and did not stop till his vision was realized. Even after management ousted him from his own firm and he sold most of his shares, effectively locking him out, he proceeded with his mission to utilize technology to improve the world by establishing Next and purchasing a little animation studio called Pixar. 12 years later, Apple paid $400 million for his business Next, bringing Jobs back to Apple. Soon after, he became Apple's CEO, and in 2006, Jobs sold Pixar to Disney for $7.4 billion, becoming the company's largest shareholder. Steve Jobs did not do all of this on his own. According to Hill, when two or more people bring their thoughts together, a third and more powerful mind emerges, which he refers to as the mastermind. Apple began with a mix of Steve Wozniak, who designed the original Apple computer, and Steve Jobs' talent to sell and persuade. Without the other, creativity would not have been sparked. The objective is to transform this technology into an industry-changing corporation. If you pay attention, you'll see that many top achievers spend a lot of time interacting with one another to share ideas and experiences, which sparks new and original ideas. Taking action on your goals might be difficult, especially if you don't have a plan. Having a strategy allows you to make judgments and take clear actions based on logic and reason rather than emotion. For example, Bill Gates would have what he called think weeks, in which he would rent a lodge in the woods and spend a week or two reading, learning, and strategizing. So the 10 principles of highly successful individuals are: Number 1, an intense determination to succeed. Number 2, belief in our ability to achieve our aims. Number 3, autosuggestion, control what enters our subconscious. Number 4, envision ourselves reaching our goal. Number 5, specialized expertise. Number 6, employ your imagination, both synthetic and creative. Number 7, make quick and confident decisions. Number 8, perseverance. Number 9, create a mastermind. Number 10, systematic planning. What if it were possible for someone with an average or lower income to become extremely wealthy with just one small change in their daily life? Instead of earning a large income, making extremely profitable investments, or receiving large windfalls, people with average or lower incomes could retire as multimillionaires. According to David Back, the creator of the automatic millionaire, anyone can become a millionaire. May amass wealth with the money you'd spend on a daily cappuccino. Take a look at the concepts mentioned in David Back's book, The Automatic Millionaire, to understand how anyone can become wealthy. The author of the book, David, had previously taught a class about retirement planning, and he helped many clients and couples over the years by coaching them to achieve their financial goals. One particular set of clients really stood out to him. With nearly $2 million saved, Jim and Sue McIntyre were ready to retire in their early 50s. The Demystifyers built a retirement plan early on by merely saving 4% of their income. They gradually increased that amount to 15% of their income, and as a result, they accumulated over $2 million despite never earning more than $50,000 per year. Their parents taught them the importance of putting aside a few dollars for themselves before paying their bills, which was the main basis for their success. The puzzle was buying a home and paying it off early so they could have extra money for other things. They prioritized buying a home early on because they knew homeowners were statistically much better off than perpetual renters. The Demystifyers' lessons were the foundation for the automatic millionaire. David Back's key takeaway from these self-made millionaires is that how much you earn has almost no bearing on whether or not you can and will build wealth regardless of whether or not you're earning a large six-figure salary. You have the potential to do the same thing that Demystifyers did even if it feels like you just can't earn the money fast enough. Income and the ability to build wealth have little to no correlation because the more people earn, the more they spend. As their earnings rise, they fall victim to something called lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation, in which their expenses rise to meet or even exceed their income when they receive a raise or a promotion. As a result, many of those earning six figures or more are living paycheck to paycheck with little to show for it other than payments and liabilities. The Demystifyers made it a priority to spend less than they earned. The lag factor is all you need to get rich over time, most but not all of the time. People who claim they can't afford to save and invest are spending the equivalent of a daily lat on something, whether it's a lat, eating lunch out, playing the lottery, or some other minor item. Various people have criticized the lat effect over the years, but the reality is that it is the quickest way to become wealthy. And there's really no need to overthink this proven strategy. It means that by saving and investing the equivalent of the cost of a lat every day, you can get rich. In the little things, no matter how insignificant they appear, can really cut into your budget. Look out for them because they appear insignificant. They have a tendency to multiply. In the case of the Demystifyers, 4% was all that was needed to get the ball rolling, even though it wasn't much. If you really don't want to skip your regular lats or lunch out, it might not be a problem. The Demystifyers were able to acquire multimillionaire status while continuing to smoke cigarettes, proving that you don't have to give up your daily lats to make this work by setting up an automated investing plan. The effect of automated saving is great consistency, so you're putting money aside without even thinking about it. Even if you think about it, you don't need to remember to save money every week or every month because the funds are automatically deducted from your paycheck or bank account, and you won't even notice it's gone. Most people, when given the option of saving money this week or not, will almost always choose the latter. At that moment, they'll make the same decision. The benefit of each dollar that does not end up in your hands is that you are significantly less likely to miss it or spend it. Most people who use automatic investment programs will tell you that they almost forget about their money and don't miss it when something necessitates it. Discipline. The simplest approach for achieving it consistently is to remove yourself from the equation and eliminate the need for willpower entirely. David Back advocates participating in your company's 401 plan if it is offered by your job. Otherwise, set up an IRA or equivalent retirement account and specify how much you'll invest at each period. This is the most you can comfortably manage, but even a few percent to begin with is okay. Choose where you want to put your money. Simply creating an account isn't enough. You must also choose an investment choice, such as an S&P 500 fund, to ensure that your money grows rather than sitting idle. Finally, make the contributions automatic so you don't have to waste time and energy on the process. It's also beneficial to automate other aspects of your finances, such as debt paydown. For example, by automating your mortgage payment and making bi-weekly payments instead of monthly, you'll end up making one extra payment per year, resulting in years saved. Your $10 per day loan adds up to $3,650 per year. If that money is invested in the S&P 500 and earns an average annual return of 10% for 40 years, which is roughly the length of the average working career, This comes after correcting for a 4% inflation rate and increasing contributions with inflation. If it does not appear to be a significant sum of money, remember that you are only sacrificing $10 each day. Is that a large sacrifice? Consider if you'd rather spend the money on a lat or two, or a comparable item, or whether you'd rather invest it towards a financially secure future. If two people or a married couple could each find $10 per day, they could easily amass over $1 million over time from that amount alone. Creating a budget can help you find wasted money that slips through your fingers, causing confusion as to why you have nothing left at the end of the month. This is critical for those who claim they don't have enough money to save and invest. The reality is that if those people examined what they were spending their money on, such as lats, cigarettes, and other small discretionary items, they would discover that their unnecessary spending adds up to be significant. If you're one of those people who throw up your hands in disbelief and confusion, claiming that you can't save money and that you need a budget, it's critical to understand the power of the lat effect. However, David Back doesn't stop there. He also suggests that you invest in earning power by furthering your education or career, a significant factor in boosting your income over time, allowing you to save and invest more money. Some will say that eliminating anything that provides you joy, such as a daily cappuccino, is not the way to wealth, or that it takes too long. Yet the automated millionaire does an excellent job explaining just how simple it can be to get rich over time and how anyone can achieve this with a little patience. This is easy to do with as little as $10 per day. David Back's The Lat Factor demonstrates the impact of money spent on a lat. Written by the same author as The Automatic Millionaire, a book that shows how anyone can become wealthy by regularly setting aside money. The Lat Factor explains a fundamental investing concept. Small amounts spent regularly cost us more than we realize and can hinder our path to financial independence. This simple concept has sparked debate in the banking community for logical reasons. David Back assumes a $5 price range for a lat, which may or may not be accurate for everyone, and a 10 to 11% return on investment. Critics' objections are fair, but they miss Back's point. The lat factor isn't solely about the monetary value of routine purchases. Regardless, this straightforward notion can teach you all you need to know about building wealth. Here are the 7 primary ideas we glean from this concept. Small expenditures over time can accumulate into enormous sums. In 30 years, investing $5 every day at an average of 10% yields over $330,000. Many spend money without considering its future value. Compound interest, as Albert Einstein termed it, is the world's 8th wonder. Once it begins working in your favor, you'll be surprised at how quickly and steadily growth accelerates. Consider this question: would you prefer $1 million today or 1 penny doubled every day for a month? Doubling a penny daily for 30 days results in $5.4 million. The crucial aspect lies in the power of doubling. Had the doubling period reduced to just 27 days, the total would be only $671,000, less than the original million. The example assumes investing $5 each day for 30 years. Extend it to 40 years, and that $5 grows to exactly $88,000, enough for a comfortable retirement in many cases if started early or if you anticipate a long life. Conversely, allocating $5 daily for only 20 years would yield nearly $115,000. This demonstrates how amounts escalate rapidly with time. The duration your money remains invested determines its growth. Beginning to invest early holds significant value. Warren Buffett is a prime example. He started investing at 11 and is now 90. This extensive period is among the most crucial, if not the most crucial, factors in his current wealth. Critics argue that Back's estimated 10% or 11% return is unrealistic. They suggest that while occasional high returns are possible, sustaining them over an extended period might not be feasible. This argument holds weight because even slight adjustments in your returns can lead to substantial changes over time. However, over the last 90 years, the S&P 500 has averaged a return of nearly 10% annually. Yet this doesn't guarantee perpetual market growth. it may slow down, offering minimal or no growth. Conversely, the S&P 500 could experience rapid growth, or one could invest in a growth fund focused on stocks expected to outpace the average growth rate. $5 invested every day for 30 years at a 10% return results in $330,000. However, if the same money achieved a more reasonable 7% return, it would amount to $184,000, a significant difference. This underscores one of the primary reasons behind Warren Buffett's success. He has historically outperformed the market. Coupled with his long investment tenure, it's almost a guarantee of substantial wealth, more than what you'd spend on lats. The actual cost of a lat misses back's intended message. The concept applies to any expenditure such as Netflix, a second car, dining out, or cigarettes. For instance, a pack of cigarettes costs more than $6, and the average smoker consumes over a pack daily. Evaluating what purchases last and which are transient is one approach to curbing spending. Put simply, a lat holds no residual value. Once it's consumed, it's gone. By scrutinizing their expenses, families can save hundreds of dollars monthly. If a family can save $250 monthly from their budget and invest it at 10% over a 30-year period, they will have accumulated $542,000. Consider whether the $250 you would have spent is more valuable than the $542,000 you would have in the future. Regardless of the answer, understanding the actual value of that $250 is crucial. The goal is to maximize your money habits. Some deem the lat factor extreme because they prioritize enjoying life, which is understandable. However, purchasing items that provide fleeting happiness doesn't equate to lasting joy. While savoring a lat is acceptable, habitual spending on numerous unnecessary products jeopardizes financial freedom. Smoking is an expensive habit that incurs significant costs over a lifetime. It's essential to spend on things important to you, but only if you're also regularly saving and investing money. By doing so, you can achieve financial control and freedom. Many lack self-control and shift blame elsewhere, avoiding accountability. There's an abundance of credit and opportunities for impulse purchases designed to encourage excessive spending. While unexpected events occur, the lat factor highlights our significant control over financial circumstances. Most people can find a way to save $5 daily, be it by increasing income or paying off debt to free up cash. With more money, self-control remains crucial. In fact, as wealth grows, exercising self-control becomes even more critical to avoid costly financial mistakes that could potentially undo a lifetime of hard work. Small amounts matter. Don't underestimate the power of a dollar when invested and compounded over time. While a single dollar seems insignificant initially, its future possibilities are astounding. Spending on desires and needs is common, but every dollar saved and invested grows. The fundamental principle of saving small amounts over time allows individuals to accumulate wealth regardless of income level. Understanding the potential of a $5 bill can encourage responsible financial decision-making. What comes to mind when you hear the term millionaire? Is it a 60-year-old man in a red Ferrari with a 20-year-old lover alongside him? Perhaps it's a fashion model on a yacht on the French Riviera, sipping champagne and eating caviar. Perhaps you picture a millionaire as a professional athlete, a well-known actress, or a plastic surgeon. The truth is that most millionaires are regular people with regular occupations. They work as farmers, mechanics, pilots, and nurses, among other things. They work as carpenters, insurance agents, and educators. What is it that makes these folks millionaires? How did they get so wealthy? Ordinary people in most vocations can accumulate wealth and become wealthy if a millionaire is defined as someone with a net worth of $1 million or more. The following characteristics of the wealthy may surprise you and perhaps make you realize that building wealth is attainable for almost anyone. Chris Hogan performed the largest survey of millionaires, interviewing over 10,000 people. Let's look at some common millionaire myths and see if your stereotype is broken. Millionaires do not inherit their entire fortune. Did you realize that roughly 80% of millionaires did not inherit anything? In fact, the majority of millionaires are first-generation rich, which means they've worked hard and made wise decisions. Their parents did not lend them money to start a business, and they did not simply walk into a profitable firm. Quite the contrary, in fact. 80% of millionaires came from low-income families. They devised a strategy, adhered to it, and became millionaires without inheriting any money. Only a small number, around 3%, inherit $1 million or more, which is considerably different from what most people believe. The vast majority of affluent people amass their fortunes through saving, investing, and living within their means. This includes not eating out 5 times a week, driving costly cars, wearing fancy apparel, and taking lavish vacations. Think again if you believe you will never be wealthy because you did not inherit a large sum of money or inherit a trust fund. Millionaires are statistically no more likely than anyone else to get an inheritance. Wealthy people do not take uncalculated financial risks. The vast majority of millionaires amass their riches quietly and steadily, avoiding foolish risks. They'd apply simple, perhaps even tedious, investing methods over time with high possibilities of success and moderate rates of return. Rich people choose assets that balance risk and reward, but most significantly, they stick to their goal of investing on a regular basis. The naive may argue that investing is too dangerous, especially with huge sums of money. The truth is that there are risks at every level of life. Driving to work increases your chances of being involved in an accident. Traveling by plane to a beach resort is dangerous. Every day we encounter and handle varied degrees of risk. Aren't you taking a tremendous risk by not investing money for your future but you won't be able to live the way you want in your retirement years? Failure to invest may result in bankruptcy. That's dangerous. Millionaires recognize that there is a risk-reward balance, yet risk can be controlled with knowledge. Most millionaires did not get wealthy overnight. As appealing as it may sound to become a billionaire soon, the average millionaire did not become one until the age of 49, and they spent 28 years working, saving, and investing before becoming a millionaire. Not quite old, but neither young nor old. The notion that most successful people are on a fast pathway to fortune is a misconception. Some of them became wealthy by participating in professional sports or becoming musicians. Although these are few and far between, 3 out of every 4 millionaires stated that their success is due to steady, long-term investing. Consider a typical annual salary of $59,000. Starting at the age of 24, they might save 15% of their income, or $739 each month, at a 10% rate of return, and have more than $1 million by the age of 50. This also assumes staying at the same wage rate for the entire 26 years. When you accumulate wealth over time, you learn how to manage it wisely. We've all heard of the overnight millionaire who blew his fortune in a few months. Lottery winners have a 70% probability of losing their winnings in a matter of years. Why is this the case? Because they lack the wealth mentality and understanding required to allocate significant sums of money. The wealthy accumulate wealth patiently and deliberately over time. Few wealthy people have obtained expensive educations. Almost 80% of millionaires did not attend pricey private schools with tuition paid for by their parents. The vast majority, more than 60%, attended public schools. Approximately 10% attended community college, while 10% never graduated from college. Most people believe that an Ivy League graduate is destined to become a millionaire. This is a fallacy fostered by high-priced universities and organizations that profit from student debt. There is no relationship between a person's wealth and the expense of their education. There is a link between the cost of tuition and the amount of student debt a student carries upon graduation, and this debt usually lasts for a long time. The average monthly student debt payment for a 20-year-old graduate is more than $350. If that money had been invested in an index fund instead, that 20-year-old would have roughly $3 million by the age of 65. Most people have no problem spending this much money on student loans, but putting it into a retirement fund may surprise you. It's surprising to hear that nearly 70% of millionaires never took out a single school debt. The majority of rich people do not have well-paying occupations. This one may surprise you and dispel your misconception about millionaires. Most people believe that all millionaires are CEOs, actors, or the owners of highly successful firms. Engineers, accountants, and teachers are the top 3 jobs among the 10,000 millionaires polled in Chris Hogan's Everyday Millionaire survey. Despite the fact that the average salary is roughly $50,000, teaching is one of the most prevalent jobs held by millionaires. Engineers make an average of $91,000 a year, while accountants make an average of $79,000. Those aren't exactly high earnings, especially when you consider how much of it might be gobbled away by income taxes. How does that square with your perception of a millionaire? 1/3 of millionaires never had a household income of 6 figures in a single year. It only goes to show that getting wealthy is possible for almost anyone who is willing to save, spend carefully, and invest on a regular basis. Wealthy folks do not drive pricey new cars. Would you be surprised to learn that the majority of millionaires do not all drive brand new luxury cars? The majority of them drive 4-year-old cars with an average mileage of roughly 40,000 kilometers. Approximately 80% of wealthy people do not finance new cars and instead pay cash for them. They have a car savings account that they replenish every month in order to pay for the automobile when they buy it. Consider it like making a car payment to yourself. If you see someone you know driving a new and costly car, chances are they aren't wealthy at all and are simply choosing to finance an appreciating item beyond their means. Just because someone wants to appear wealthy does not necessarily imply that they are. Paying cash for a vehicle also limits overspending because you can only spend what you've saved rather than what you're approved for. Wealthy people maintain their wealth by avoiding unneeded debt and paying cash for significant purchases such as cars. The notion that all wealthy people are celebrities stems from what we see on the internet and on television. Contrary to popular opinion, the majority of millionaires are ordinary people who live in ordinary communities. They don't usually drive flashy cars or hold prestigious positions in huge corporations, and they don't inherit their wealth. Those who want to be millionaires are often realistic and sensible people who understand the need of not squander or borrow big sums of money and instead purchase products that bring value. Today's millionaires are people who live within their means, spend sensibly, and prioritize investing so that their money grows even when they are not working. This is Tom. Tom had a fantastic business idea and was motivated to make it a reality. He saw 2 futures unfolding before him. In one, he spent months developing an intricate business strategy, soliciting investors, and investing all of his savings in the venture. In the other, he devised a quick strategy, tested it with possible clients, and reduced his costs to a minimal. Tom's first business venture was a failure. Nobody wanted to buy his goods, so he lost 8 months of his life, all of his money, and all of his investors' money. In the second scenario, Tom's product did not sell either, but because he kept his expenses low and did not rely on investor funds, he did not lose much money. He only lasted a few weeks before realizing that this plan was a failure. In the book, The Lean Startup, author Eric Rice teaches us the tactics we need to start a business in the most effective way to ensure the firm works before risking our lives on it, all in 6 major lessons. Lesson number 1, do not imitate large organizations. The circumstances of a corporation differ greatly from those of a new firm. Many huge firms spend a lot of money creating their brand or acquiring a large consumer base, even if they don't generate a profit immediately. As a tiny business, you're just looking to make your first million. You do not have shareholders to impress or celebrities to sponsor. As a small business owner, your sole responsibility is to generate revenue. While large corporations can spend money on advertising at a loss, you must develop a lucrative and sustainable approach to find customers. To begin building the business, we must be assured that a consumer wants to buy the product, and one of the most effective ways to do so is to test your theory in a real-world setting. Consider the story of Zappos. This startup began with a simple hypothesis. People would be willing to buy shoes online. To put this notion to the test, the entrepreneurs went to shoe retailers and photographed their company's shoes. Then they used these images to create a fictitious online shoe store to test if anyone would try to buy their shoes. When consumers tried to buy shoes online, the entrepreneurs realized that their business idea had worked. They didn't have to spend much money to demonstrate that their plan would work, and their concept was validated by real-world clients. Zappos' success prompted Amazon to pay $1.2 billion for the company. Lesson 2. Quit being a caveman. Many entrepreneurs make the mistake of working in isolation for an extended length of time to develop and improve their product. This can be a major issue because, in order to create a viable business strategy, we need to swiftly determine whether the product we're developing is beneficial. Otherwise, we risk wasting time and resources developing a product that no one wants. The quickest and easiest approach to collect real-world input for your project is to construct what is known as an MVP, or minimal viable product. This MVP should be simple and contain only what is required to provide users a reasonable expectation of what the whole product will do. A product prototype to gather relevant information and feedback from your customers. Here you may validate two things. First, that your product provides value to your consumers. And second, that the market wants and is prepared to pay for it. Tim Ferriss serves as an excellent example of this. While writing the book The 4-Hour Workweek, he did two extremely interesting things. One, he solicited comments while he wrote the book. This ensured that what he was writing was truly fascinating and useful to his target audience long before he published the book. Second, he launched Google advertisements to see which title would generate the most clicks on the purchase button. Even though he wasn't selling anything and the buyers weren't paying anything, he determined which title provided him the highest chance of selling the book. The winner, as we now know, was The 4-Hour Workweek. Lesson 3. Use the BML cycle. BML stands for Build, Measure, and Learn. First, you create an MVP, minimum viable product. Then you take the product to market and get user feedback. You take that data and analyze it to see how you can utilize it to better your product and marketing. Then you optimize and improve your product, bringing you back to the start of the cycle. The good news is that you can start making money as soon as you launch your prototype or MVP. Think about the iPhone. Almost every year, Apple launches a new version of the iPhone that includes new and better capabilities. As we can see, they are using the BML cycle. They create and market their product, gather user feedback, learn what they can improve, and then apply it to the next model. The first iPhone was not the best iPhone, yet Apple profited more than $1.2 billion from its sales. Over the years, Apple has made more than $1.6 trillion from iPhone sales alone. The more loops you add to the BML cycle, the more likely you are to create a fantastic product with a more sustainable business plan. Lesson 4. Don't be a zombie. Entrepreneurs have the mindset that in order to build a great firm, they must persevere through all of the problems and hardships, and that an entrepreneur must have a strong will. Many refer to this as the hustle culture. Although many of these statements are correct, many people can misinterpret this style of thinking in order to dismiss feedback and continue hard-selling a product that the market does not desire. To avoid being one of the living dead of mindless zombies selling the wrong goods, we should consider how we may adapt our product to meet what the market wants rather than trying to change the market to fit our needs. You may be passionate about your product, but if the market does not demand it, you will be unable to sell it. At the end of the day, it's about what the market wants, not what the entrepreneur believes they require. Groupon serves as an excellent example of this. Groupon began as an activism platform, but evolved into the daily deals platform we know today due to consumer demand. Lesson 5. 3 Growth Strategies. As you grow your firm, you should implement these 3 techniques to increase revenue and expand it. Number 1 priority: keeping and remarketing existing clients. This is one of the most effective ways to boost income because making money from existing consumers is significantly cheaper than recruiting new clients. So, this should be the initial step in increasing your company's revenue. This is accomplished by encouraging users to purchase the product more frequently, providing additional features, or promoting the purchase of new products inside the firm. Turning a one-time transaction into an ongoing relationship can provide the groundwork for a business's continuous revenue stream. Number 2, the viral strategy. This is where we ask current customers to manage the company's marketing. This is the stage during which product recognition expands by word of mouth in your target market. Social media is becoming an effective tool for this form of marketing since many individuals enjoy sharing products and services they have purchased with others who may be interested. Creating incentives for your customers to share your goods can encourage this behavior and raise visibility for your company for very little money. Number 3, good old sponsored advertising. This is where you design and pay for adverts to attract new customers. There are numerous forms of paid advertising, including billboards, radio, television, print ads, and so on, but the simplest and most effective is internet advertising. We have various advertising venues on the internet, such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Google, influencers, and many others that are quite powerful if used correctly. The purpose of paid advertising for a lean startup is not to raise brand awareness, but to sell a product that generates more revenue than the advertising budget. Lesson 6. Learn your metrics. As your company grows, it is critical to monitor and analyze all of your KPIs. You must understand your customer acquisition cost, conversion rate, purchase value, customer lifetime value, as well as user behavior based on age, gender, and customer lifetime. This can provide you with valuable information to help you make informed decisions and have a better grasp of what works and what does not. Ramit Sethi's New York Times bestseller, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, describes how regular people with average incomes may transition from debt and having no money to becoming wealthy. There are no secrets to becoming wealthy. Rich individuals are much like everyone else. However, they possess specific tactics and mindsets that can be adopted by almost anyone to help them progress. Amassing significant wealth requires just a little discipline and effort in these areas. Starting to generate wealth may be challenging initially, but it becomes easier as you progress. A wealth of free information is available to help people enhance their relationship with money and consequently their overall quality of life. Unfortunately, many people do not work on improving their financial circumstances. According to Ramit Sethi's book, there are 3 types of people: A's, B's, and C's. The A's are already managing their money and wish to enhance their practices. They are prepared to learn and act. The B's, the largest group, are doing nothing but can be convinced to change their ways. They know they should act, but lack the discipline to do so. The C's are the rest, a mass of people who are a lost cause and will never become wealthy for various reasons. While some people are limited by their circumstances, most will never become wealthy simply because of their money views and practices. Optimizing your credit cards is the first step toward getting wealthy because our use of credit has a significant impact on our financial condition. If you have credit card debt, make a plan to manage those balances and pay them off. Negotiate a lower annual percentage rate, APR, so that more of your payments go straight to the principal. Contact the credit card provider and request any upcoming annual fees to be waived. Companies often waive these fees just by asking. Once you've got your credit under control, judiciously use your credit cards for purchases you'd otherwise pay cash for. In other words, don't buy anything on credit if you can't pay cash for it. This way, you can take advantage of credit card benefits like cashback incentives and the improved credit history that comes with using them. Just ensure they're paid in full each billing cycle. Above all, avoid making only the minimum payment. If you don't already have one, open a savings and a checking account. Look for a bank or credit union with no crazy minimum balance requirements, maintenance fees, or a slew of hidden expenses. You shouldn't have to pay the bank for simply allowing them to hold your money. Use an internet savings account, which often provides much higher interest rates than traditional banks. Sometimes you can access your funds in 3 days or less, but that's inconsequential if you're earning a higher return from that bank. The sooner you begin investing, the sooner you'll benefit from the world's eighth wonder, compound interest. Many will become wealthy because they have negative attitudes about money, believing it's impossible for them to accumulate riches or that money is unimportant. Money is a vital component of our lives, influencing more decisions than we realize. Failure to invest for the future early on can cost you more money than you realize. Retirement accounts can be started for as little as $10, so there's no excuse not to begin and get used to the ups and downs of investing. The interest earned on your deposits will make you wealthy, and the sooner it starts compounding, the faster it'll grow. Millionaires invest 20% of their income on average, but don't worry if that seems out of reach for your situation. The crucial point is to not delay investing because you think you can't save as much as you'd like. To become wealthy, spend wisely, avoiding squandering money on frivolous purchases or acting on impulse. Being frugal doesn't mean cutting back on all expenses. It's about minimizing expenses that don't bring purpose and value to you while spending more on those that do. For instance, if you enjoy traveling but don't care about driving a flashy, fast automobile, opt for a less expensive vehicle and allocate the saved money toward your next vacation. Consider using the 60% approach to divide your spending into buckets. 60% for fundamental expenses like food, bills, and taxes from your gross revenue. The remaining 40% split into 4 buckets: 10% for retirement savings, 10% for long-term savings, 10% for unexpected needs, and 10% for fun money. Remember, the more aggressively you save and invest today, the more you'll have later. It's crucial to strike a balance in everything. Automating your money into an investment strategy will help you reach your goals without much effort. If possible, set up automatic withdrawals from your savings and investment accounts from your paycheck. You'll be less likely to miss the extra cash because it won't stay in your account. If that's not possible, you can set up almost equally effective automatic transfers directly from your bank account. Most who've used automatic savings say they didn't even notice the money had gone missing. Maintain a positive attitude about money at all times, even when finances are tight. With a negative attitude, progress becomes practically impossible. The earlier money is saved and invested, the easier it becomes to accumulate wealth. However, saving every dime for the future isn't the way to live. Balance is crucial, and it might take time and practice to achieve. Invest consistently in low-cost funds, putting the same amount of money each time. Avoid trying to time the market or paying high fees to so-called experts. For the majority, experts like Warren Buffett and John Bogle recommend broad market index funds. This allows you to own a piece of various companies, diversifying your risk across different businesses and sectors at a reasonable cost. Many fear starting to invest, but overcoming this fear is crucial for wealth growth. Not investing means potentially losing money each day your funds sit in a low-interest savings account. Combining an automatic savings plan with low-cost broad market index funds is a low-risk approach to start on the path to wealth. It's simple, and a broad market fund is all you need to grow money. Investing is not exclusively for the wealthy. Everyone has to start somewhere. Warren Buffett wasn't always wealthy. He bought his first stock at 11 years old. Individual investors should avoid individual stocks and invest in low-cost index funds that offer broad diversification at a low cost. Stocks can be profitable, but picking individual stocks is risky, especially for average investors. Remember, risk and reward go hand in hand, but finding a balance is crucial for maximizing returns. You might speculate on Bitcoin for a potential overnight billionaire status, or you could invest in established instruments more likely to earn you millions over time. Creating an investment strategy based on your age, risk tolerance, and personal situation is essential for wealth accumulation. Maintaining and controlling your wealth creation plan is an ongoing task. Choose the appropriate level of risk and return, and regularly review your investments to ensure they align with your objectives. Lastly, there are 2 ways to increase income: spend less or earn more. Making more money is often more enjoyable than trying to save every penny. Look for ways to generate more income that don't require working harder. Since work contributes significantly to our earnings, explore how to enhance your earnings rather than merely working harder. Applying these tactics will undoubtedly help individuals achieve their financial goals. Getting wealthy isn't difficult once the right mindset is developed. Avoid wasting money or accumulating costly debt. Live below your means and implement smart investment tactics, and wealth will come over time. Many believe wealth is beyond their reach, but anyone can achieve this goal with fundamental tactics and a simple plan. Assume you want to move from point A to point B. Point A is your current financial status, whereas point B is financial freedom. Would you walk there? Would you take a bicycle or a car? The solution is quite straightforward. We'd like to get there as quickly as possible. However, most people prefer to pursue the slow path to financial achievement. In this video, we'll discover how to achieve our financial goals much more quickly. This is a summary of the book Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco, in which he explains how he went from being a 26-year-old living in his mother's basement to being a billionaire at the age of 31. First, we must distinguish between what he calls the sidewalk, the slow lane, and the fast lane of producing money. To accomplish this, we'll create a character for each category. Those who follow the sidewalk roads to fortune are one step away from being broke, no matter how much money they make. They prefer to spend as much as they earn, and there is no formal financial plan. They are one unexpected scenario away from financial devastation, making it simpler to blame external factors for their financial difficulties. The sidewalk's wealth formula is income plus debt equals wealth. Most folks on the sidewalk define riches as having nice things: a car, clothes, gadgets, trips, and enjoying the best that life has to offer, even if it means incurring debt and paying it off over time. Most people on the sidewalk have little to no savings and no retirement plans. The majority of their goods are financed, and they rely only on the income from their job. Those on the sidewalk are unlikely to achieve actual riches because their perceived worth is based on material goods and consumer behavior. The sidewalk has more to do with mindset than with money. Many persons on the sidewalk have a high income but struggle financially owing to poor spending habits and a lack of preparedness. According to M.J. DeMarco, beliefs become behaviors, which lead to consequences. If our financial attitudes reflect the sidewalk mindset, we are unlikely to accumulate riches. Some may remain imprisoned on the sidewalk for the rest of their lives, while others recognize that their view of riches is flawed and begin looking for a better way, which may take many to the slow lane. A person in the slow lane has a little better financial situation than someone on the sidewalk. The standard slow lane is usually represented by a professional worker. This person is focused on creating a career and will likely pursue an education in order to obtain a higher-paying job while remaining in the slow lane. However, debt repayment plans are usually in place. A person in the slow lane may have a solid savings account or an emergency fund to cover unexpected expenses. A person in this path employs conventional wisdom to gain money. They work, spend less than they earn, and invest in financial assets. The slow lane's wealth formula is wage plus market investments equals wealth. A person in this lane is more knowledgeable about money management and concentrates on increasing their wealth through financial assets. They comprehend the potential of compounded growth and are likely to become millionaires. However, it will take decades. Compounded growth is a powerful tool that can provide large profits, but it is based on one item that we cannot recover: time. A person on the fast lane to wealth focuses on increasing earnings with the goal of skipping the first 20 to 30 years of wealth creation and getting right to where the real fun begins. Unlike the slow lane or the sidewalk, where income is controlled by a boss and assets are subject to unpredictable market forces, the fast lane emphasizes complete control and leverage over income and assets. Instead of settling for a financially secure life, those in the fast lane choose the lifestyle they desire and work hard to obtain it, no matter how unrealistic it may appear to others. Those in the fast lane, like those in the slow lane, live below their means but intend to extend their means in order to maintain their current lifestyle. The wealth formula for someone in the fast lane is net profit plus asset valuation equals wealth. The ultimate goal for someone in the fast lane is to generate passive cash flow for the rest of their lives, allowing them to live in abundance of two of life's most valuable assets, money and time. A person in the fast lane focuses on accumulating wealth far faster than the ordinary person, with the goal of enjoying both extra time and money while young and continuing to grow their wealth into old age. There are other examples of ordinary people driving the fast lane and accumulating fortune, such as a person who began selling rocks as pets and sold 5 million of them in 6 months, becoming a multimillionaire. Or the individual who invented a camera for a house's front door and then sold the company for $1 billion 5 years later. Or the individual who began uploading videos online and made millions in advertising agreements a few years later. As we can see from these instances, choosing the fast lane is entirely doable and can help you accumulate wealth far faster than traditional techniques. So how can people in the slow and fast lanes become wealthy? Those in the slow lane start investing a portion of their earnings in market investments like retirement accounts, equities, or mutual funds. This is where they employ compounding growth to increase their fortune, which could take decades. For example, suppose a person in the slow lane starts investing 10% of their $60,000 annual salary. This means they will invest $6,000 annually, or $500 per month. Let us also assume an 8% yearly compounded return, which is the market average. In 10 years, they will have somewhat less than $87,000. In 20 years, more than $274,000. In 30 years, nearly $680,000. By year 45, the total would be somewhat more than $2.3 million. This sounds nice, but consider how 70% of wealth was created in the last 15 years. The first 30 years generated barely 30% of the total sum. The age at which we start investing determines how much we will have when we retire. If individuals begin investing later in life, they must either retire later or live more frugally during their working years in order to contribute more money to their retirement fund each month. Now, M.J. DeMarco emphasizes in his book that compounding growth is effective. But it is only one component of the plan, not the entire plan, as most individuals in the slow lane assume. A person in the fast lane prioritizes having complete control over their finances. Let us return to their wealth equation. Net profit plus asset valuation equals wealth. This entire equation focuses on increasing money. The term net profit simply implies the number of units sold multiplied by the profit per unit. For example, if you can sell 1,000 units at a profit of $1,000 each, you'll make $1 million. The math works in a variety of ways here, such as 10,000 units at a profit of $100 or 100 units for $10,000. They each give you $1 million. The key is that income in this lane can be managed. We can recruit more employees to sell more things, implement automation technology to optimize our processes, or run adverts to increase traffic to our business and sales. Now we'll look at asset value. Typically, this refers to the value of your complete firm. Most people in the fast lane do not trade time for money. Rather, they trade time to establish a business system that generates money, which is an asset in and of itself. Many other businesses are willing to pay top cash for an effective and efficient business system to implement in their own operations. It is not uncommon for a business to sell for 5 times or more of its annual income. Here are some ways you might profit from asset valuation. Sell the company to another business or investor, and you'll walk away with a tidy sum of money to retire on. Take your firm public and sell its shares on the stock market, retaining some control while raising capital. Compounded growth is a big advantage for individuals in the fast lane because wealth accumulates at a much faster rate. It is feasible to avoid the initial 20 or 30 years of compounding that the normal person would have to endure. Assume a person in the fast lane takes 5 years to establish and sell a business for $2 million, which is not unusual. This essentially permits this person to bypass the first 45 years of compounding that our slow lane friend had to endure in order to reach the same place. But how can you create a fast lane business? In the book, NG DeMarco lays forth a few rules that could help you develop your own fastlane business. Control. You must have control over your business. For example, someone beginning an affiliate marketing firm breaches this criterion because they have no control over the goods or the profit per sale. The product owner has control over the product and the commissions they are ready to pay. Entry. If it is simple to get into, everyone will attempt it. We've all heard business trends advertising how easy it is to earn money in a specific business. And those who start quickly realize that because it's so simple to get started, everyone is doing it, resulting in huge competition for entrepreneurs. Need. An excellent question to ask before beginning a business is, what problem am I solving? Is anyone truly seeking for a solution to this problem? Not everything we are enthusiastic about can be a successful business. A successful business requires demand for a solution to a problem. Without demand, there is no business. Time. To establish a fast lane business, you must be able to walk away from it while still producing income. If not, you've produced a job rather than a value resource. By developing a company system that operates independently, you can either walk away while it generates recurrent cash flow or sell it to someone willing to pay a fair price for it. Scalability. In business, scalability refers to the ability to grow revenue faster than expenses. In other words, you're creating a system that allows you to sell a big volume of merchandise at any moment. Have you ever thought, what could I do to make $1 million? So today we'll go over the key takeaways from Grant Cardone's book, The Millionaire Booklet. Let's get started. Step 1. Adopt the millionaire attitude. According to Grant Cardone, the first step in becoming a millionaire is to decide you want to be one. We can't hit a target if we don't know what it is. Cardone believes that this is more than just a decision. It is a commitment to yourself and people around you. Most likely, you are not doing this solely for yourself. Once you've made this commitment, start removing some of the mental hurdles that are standing in your way of prosperity. You know, wealthy individuals think very differently from the typical person. For example, what is your opinion of wealthy people? Is it favorable or negative? If you have a bad attitude about affluent individuals, how can you hope to become one? Another excellent example is the topic of sales. Because selling is an important element of making money, many individuals believe it is bad or unethical. Meanwhile, many wealthy individuals feel the exact opposite. Many people believe that not selling what you have to offer is unethical, since it deprives the world of ideas that have the power to alter people's lives. Many people assume that wanting a lot of money is selfish or greedy, whereas affluent people see money as a direct result of the value they bring. Our money ideas influence our financial behaviors, which in turn influence our outcomes. So it is critical to begin with our thinking. Step 2. Do the millionaire math. It is much easier to reach any objective when you understand the actions you must take to get there. Money is easier to design a plan to acquire $1 million by performing what Cardone refers to as millionaire math and understanding how money is made. Grant Cardone's book breaks down the various ways to make $1 million. If you earn $50,000 a year as an employee, it will take you 20 years to reach the $1 million mark. If you earn $250,000 per year, it will take you 4 years to reach $1 million. If you earn $500,000 each year, it will take you 2 years to get there. If you offer a product that costs $100 a unit, you'll need to sell 10,000 units to earn $1 million. If you earn $1,000 each unit, you'll need to sell 1,000 units. With a $10,000 product, you need to sell 100 units to reach your $1 million objective. If you sell a service or a subscription and charge $278 per month, you just need 300 customers to reach the $1 million milestone. Your goal is to determine what you will offer, the price point at which you can sell it, and the number of individuals required to reach your $1 million target. Step 3. Increase your revenue. According to Cardone, increasing your income is the first step toward achieving true and sustainable wealth. Aside from the financial gains, striving to increase your income has 2 major advantages. One benefit is that you develop the abilities required to create money, which will come in handy when new possibilities arise. 2. You acquire a belief that you have what it takes to succeed financially. This builds confidence. Cardone recommends starting by raising your current salary. If you have already maxed out on your existing income, you can begin to generate more revenue from sources related to it. Cardone advises caution when beginning new ventures, since they can divert your attention away from your primary source of income, increasing the chance of losing it and causing you to fall behind on your financial goals. This is why Cardone advises developing a new stream of revenue that is tied to your primary source of money. For example, if you're a fitness trainer, launching a YouTube channel or selling supplements could help you improve your income without having to start from scratch. Step 4. Who has my money? Once you've determined what you'll sell, your pricing point, and how many people you'll need to make your first million, as calculated in Step 2, it's time to figure out who they are. Your million is already out there, but you must first find out who owns it. "Who's got my money?" is one of Cardone's most well-known catchphrases, because money does not magically appear. Someone out there has it, and it is your responsibility to go locate it. Understanding who your ideal customer is becomes critical because they hold your money. For example, if you offer video production services, who will be your customers? Local businesses, real estate firms, influencers, or online enterprises. Finding out who you will service and narrowing down who they are will make it much easier to collect your money. The more particular, the better, because it allows you to determine where they are, how much money they have, what they want, and how you can deliver it. Once you've determined who has your money, it's critical not to get distracted. Cardone says your goal is to speak with them and only them so you can go receive your money. Step 5. Stay broke. As your money grows, it is quite easy to increase your costs. If your income increased from $50,000 to $120,000 per year, you would be able to buy a much nicer house, a new automobile, and perhaps an additional trip or two. However, as Cardone notes, this will not make you wealthy. Matching your revenue to your expenses will leave you at the starting point. This is not the broke Cardone refers to. As you start making more money, you don't want it sitting in your bank account because it will eventually end up somewhere else. If you have money laying around, it's easy to spend it. So Cardone advises staying broke by directing any excess funds away from you and into investment instruments that will make your money earn more money. This will accomplish 2 key tasks. 1. You begin to accumulate riches by investing your money. 2. Because you don't have much money anymore, you should go back to work to earn more money. According to Cardone, starting to upgrade your life before taking care of your money is a good indicator that you would not do well financially. Step 6. Save solely to invest. Most people are taught that saving money is beneficial, but Cardone believes that saving only for the sake of saving is a bad notion. Having too much money in the bank is a loss of opportunity since unproductive money loses value year after year. If you analyze wealthy people, you will notice that the primary reason they save money is to continuously build their wealth and increase their income flow. Investing is a vital element of building wealth, but according to Cardone, you should not invest until your primary sources of income are stable and reliable. Investing entails risks, and introducing risk to your money before your primary source of income is stable and reliable can have a number of negative effects, such as needing to sell an asset to make ends meet or losing the item during a recession. Cardone suggests that if you are not yet ready to invest in financial assets, you should consider investing in your own abilities and earning potential. This can help you generate a steady and consistent income, which you can then utilize to invest in assets. Step 7. Several streams of income. Once you have a steady and reliable income, it's time to begin investing. Cardone, like many other investors, believes that the best investments are those that generate cash flow. As you begin investing, the goal is to generate as many sources of income as possible, as this is the holy grail of financial independence because it provides security because you are no longer reliant on a single source of income. Cardone advises doing everything possible to avoid walking away from any source of money, no matter how modest, until absolutely necessary. So don't quit your work just yet. at least until it starts costing you money. Step 8. Repeat, reinforce, and hyperfocus. As you progress through your financial journey, you'll want to repeat this process as many times as possible in order to establish other sources of revenue. Then strengthen your billionaire attitude and continue to improve it as your money grows, because your thinking will change when you move from 1 million to 10 million versus 0 to 1 million. Finally, stay hyper-focused on your goals, especially as you start to attain success and criticism becomes unavoidable. According to Grant Cardone's The Millionaire booklet, in order to become a millionaire, you must first develop a millionaire mindset, perform millionaire math, increase your income, learn who has your money and go get it, stay broke until you can save and invest, and continue to generate multiple streams of income while continuing your self-education to become the best version of yourself. As we conclude, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you found value in this video and learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you in our future videos. I would deeply value it if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support will help us to create more valuable content, and we can work together to secure your financial future. What are the key takeaways from this video that you can share in the comment section?